au siasa e pacho ka ahinya wabro keto wang'wa ahinya kuom winjruoge ma ODM osebedo go kasto winjruok masani ma ODM nego. An kod nyawadwa Rebecca Awino machiegni. Rebecca, ichiew nade?
Achiew maber. Mana ahinya janeno marwa kuom kete Cityscope TV. Amedo kwayi ni kik idhi mabor, inya yudowa e channel marwa Cityscope TV, Facebook Cityscope TV, kod namba minyalo ornago ote machuok en 24510. Erokamano ahinya.
Erokamano ahinya Rebecca Awino. Machiegni janeno marwa en ni nyinga en Joseph Okuma. Kawuono mor ahinya nikech wan kod wendo mabende en janon weche mag siasa e pacho ka, kendo jal molony ahinya mararia kuom weche mag timo nonro matut kuom weche motende kod siasa kod telo. Audi Mike ni kodwa ka e studio. Erokamano Audi Mike, ichiew nade?
Achiew maber, ago erokamano maduong'. To ne jawinjo mawinjo warwakou chenro ma kawuono. Ageno ni wadhi puonjore e yo matut, to wadhi konyore kodok korka weche matut oko mar siasa.
Amen. Erokamano. Kwachako kodi Audi, en winjruok mar kisiasa en ang'o? En ochako nade to bet ga nade? Ochako ga nade to bet ga nade? Ang'o makele?
Koro penjo machalo kamano en penjo ma nigi duoko matut. Kipenja ni winjruok mar siasa en winjruok machako nade, to amba nyalo penjora ni to en winjruok modok korka ang'o. Nikech winjruok moro amora mar siasa nitiere gi gima iluongo ni agenda makelo. Onyalo bedo winjruok makelo ji kamoro achiel mar tiyo kamoro achiel ne wach mar election. Onyalo bedo winjruok mar tiyo kamoro achiel kaluwore gi weche matut mawuok e piny, kaka ne wabedo gi gima iluongo ni Gen Z movement. Josiasa nyalo biro kamoro achiel mondo opor wach kamoro achiel kaka ginyalo handle gimoro ainano. To bonyalo bedo winjruok mar siasa ma different sides nyalo biro kamoro achiel mondo gikony e wach moro ma omako piny mangima. Mano kama onge political differences, kaka onyalo bedo gi disasters, kaka sani wan gi koth machwe, floods everywhere, ineno ka ji tho. Seche ni waonge gi UDA to waonge gi ODM winjo. Koro josiasa nyalo biro kamoro achiel en winjruok makende mar neno kaka gik moko ainago nyalo bedo handle. Koro ka poni penjono ni penja kaluwore gi weche siasa modok korka elections power. Winjruok mar siasa ma dhi nyaka e debe, obed MCA, obed MP, obed governor, obed president. Winjruok mar siasa en gima ok chak e rally. Gik miwacho e rally gin gik ma jopiny onego winji. Ba nitiere tut mar wach, to nitie kama wachno chakore. Koro winjruok mar siasa ok chak oko, ochak e room, ochak e meeting, ochak e strategic meetings. Ma kila ng'ato ng'e ni gini ema biro go on the table, to mae kad ma adhi pur. Koro bang' mano eka siasa chakore e wach ma kamano.
Mana kamano Audi Mike. Rebecca, ka wach monitie manyalo penjo koluwore kod kaka weche mag winjruok nitie?
Awinjo kaka wendowa ma wan go wuoyo, wacho ni winjruok katimore to nego bed ni nitie weche miwacho, ok ni iwacho e pap kama japiny nitie. Lakini sani kwang'iyo kaka piny ringo, ino ka gik mang'eny iwachonwa kaka jopiny. Kech, for example, winjo ni tunataka power. Ma ikono japiny ni tunataka power. Koro japiny bedhi ni to power mane ma tunataka to. Sama Honorable Buru wetu winjo ka odhi mbele kanyo wacho ni tunataka power na tunalenga sana hiyo kiti ya Dipindo.
Aneno ka Rebecca ochimo class, oidho class mamalo ahinya. Rebecca kanyo wadwa donje machiegni. Janeno marwa en ni Raila Odinga kane oloso winjruok kinde kod Ruto, migosi Ruto kind ODM kod UDA, ne nitie kaka ne giwuoyo, to Raila nowacho ni winjruok kindgi kod UDA ok en winjruok motenre kod loso winjruok mar manyonda miluongo ni coalition government. Orono winjne kaka ne Raila wacho, kasto waduog kuom Audi, then Rebecca ang ne wafuon tiende ka ne wach power bende nitie iye kolure gi kaka ne migosi Raila Amolo Odinga oloso kuom winjruok mane gikete kogno kinde kod migosi William Ruto. Wawinjane kaka ne migosi Raila nowuoyo.
We make it clear that the memorandum we have signed today does not define the formation of a political coalition between ODM and UDA. However, its successful implementation could inform the basis of steps toward the establishment of a broadly constitutive and progressive formation for a stable country in future.
Kod wachno Audi Mike, eni Raila nowacho wach moro ne winjruok magikete kogno kinde kod migosi William Ruto, mabende ne en kind duond bucha ariyo, mano mar ODM gi UDA, ne en winjruok mar miyo Kenya bede stable kata bede winjruok e lwasi makare. Winjruogni kolure kodi kaka janon weche mag siasa, en nobedo mana kuom gik manowacho koso ne nitie wach moro mane nie iye ma opondo mane jo Kenya kia?
Koro king'iyo ngima Raila kaka jasiasa, Raila osebedo gi winjruok mopogore opogore gi josiasa mopogore gi parties mopogore opogore. To ng'enyne iyudo ka Raila the person en ga full of surprises. Yeah? And in most cases, obedo surprise maber ne piny. Kata kwa ng'iyo wach mar handshake, noneno ka nokelo kwe, gik makamago. Koro kwadok e winjruok mar Raila bedo go kod Ruto, ang'o manokelo winjruogni? Wate wanyalo paro ni ndalono ne wan gi weche mang'eny e pinywa mar Kenya kama ne chandowa, kalure gi gomo, kalure gi ng'anyo mag kijende matindo tindo gi gik moko mane gidwaro notimre. Koro Raila noneno ni ber ka pinywa mar Kenya ma wahero ni wakony kore, kik obedi ni odhi bedo destroyed gi ng'anyo machal kama. To ne gibiro kamoro achiel mar mondo gikel kwe e pinyno. To kwe ni obiro e yo mano. To piny ne dwaro achiel, ariyo, adek. Koro 10 points agenda nobedo arrived at as a result of that. They went down, they sat down, manegi draft ni magi gik ma jopiny dwaro gi. They are fitting within these agendas. No one bogi. Koro winjruok wani onego bed ni kelo fruits mag these 10 points material in our agenda. Koro the main purpose ma japiny nong'eyo en niya, winjruok mar Raila gi Ruto, the main reason mare en mana en ni the 10 points agenda obed achieved. The 10 points agenda kwa ng'iyo gin gik mabeyo ma in reality ka gin gik mobedo achieved actually nyalo konyo ji e piny mar Kenya.
To be nitie wach moro motenre kod winjruok mane gi make to en gima jopiny kia? Nyalo bet ni nitie gima ne discuss ma show interest.
Mano penjo maber kabisa. Koro sasa mineno ka josiasa obiro kamoro achiel kata political parties biro kamoro achiel. The primary reason mar formation mar political parties en kaka power. To power ni obiro e yore mopogore opogore. Nitie power mar bedo president, nitie power mar control parliament, nitie power mar controlling functions and activities within the country. Koro sama political parties kata siasa biro kamoro achiel, always nitie gimiluongo ni interest. There is something that each party is gaining In as much as ni en gima dhi konyo jopiny, nitiere kaka each party in any political engagement is gaining something. Ewinjo. 10 points agenda was the driving force that brought them
together.
Yeah. Now, how are we going to work to achieve this? So that our party, in terms of our manifesto and your manifesto, can merge up to help us achieve this agenda. It is also an opportunity for both parties to effect certain plans managing in their manifesto. 10 points agenda, when they are achieved, we don't need UDA on the other side. They are actually achieving their manifesto. ODM on the other side, they are actually achieving parts of their manifesto. It may not be in full, but the majority of the things in the 10-point agenda are actually affecting the humanitarian manifesto as in there is always that interest. Onyalo bedo short term, to nyalo bedo long term. Nyalo bedo to ma oken gima anyalo wacho with full authority ni it is the reality. But nyalo bedo en kaka speculation ni winjruok ni achiel kuom the reasons manyalo bedo ni nobet en ni watiyo nyaka 2027. But mano no wuok e dhog Raila to mano no wuok e dhog Ruto ni gidhi tiyo beyond 2027.
Okay. Nikech
kapok idhi mbele jaduong' Okuma, inwang'o ka Raila wacho maber ni the MOU between ODM and UDA was not to be political coalition. To back to Raila, whatever we get is broad-based government. Is that not political, or because I fail to understand where this broad-based thing came from? Yeah.
Raila nowacho ni winjruok magisign ni ok en mar loso sirikal.
Exactly.
But en mar mondo mi Kenya stability. Kasto no point something ni ka in case ni en progressive mbele kocha. Gibro ng'iyane.
Yes.
Kanyo nyalo wache nang'o?
Raila did not close the door for further negotiations. To mar ariyo, no state ni ok gidhi work beyond 2027. Another the third thing manoko wacho ni ok gidhi work gi Ruto. Yeah, local state man. But whether or not Raila ne dhi work gi Ruto after 2027, mano gima japiny ok ong'eyo. Gima nwang'eyo ni Raila gi Ruto nobiro agreement which is running up to 2027, not to the election date. Dates are known. Koro in this arrangement, broad-based government obiro bang'. Kana wacho mokwongo na wacho ni thing manokelo jogi together was to bring peace in the country and effect the 10-point agenda items. Yeah, but every agreement in politics comes with interest for both parties. Every agreement. Whatever opposition always thrives in the weaknesses of the current ruling government.
Yes.
So the more opposition, when they are not able to execute functions, so that they can have something to say in the next campaign about bringing change and removing the current government. But keep out of why would people come together? There must be another reason beyond what we have seen, and it is progressive.
Yes.
Yeah. Koro jogi kanosebiro kamoro achiel. Yes, 10 points agenda was formed like a committee to achieve it. How are we going to sustain our relationship beyond the 10 points agenda? Then the broad-based government comes into place, where the government agrees we are going to incorporate a few people from the other side, and then we had the government reshuffle done, and the ODM members were absorbed into the government. That is what brought about the
So it means the 10-point agenda, the point agenda ne only issue mar appointment of specific cabinet ministers from ODM ne oge, but koro kaka progressively oneni Badi odonjo, Joe odonjo, Oparanya odonjo, ng'ane ne odonjo, jomopogore opogore mowuok e ODM odonjo. Mano ne nyisi ni gima ne Raila wacho ni progressively ne en tama ne relate gi wach mar gimiluongo ni broad based government koso nang'o?
Ema wacho ni ne en progressive in the sense that sama a relate kodi owach ni ayudo osiep manyien. Osiepwa ni nyalo dhi mbele to an extent mwachak timo kata ohala moro makonyowa kamoro achiel. Do nitie gima nomiyo waromo. Kata seche moko an japuonj taromo gi japuonj wadwa e meeting mar jopuonj. To I end up wayaw kata school.
Compare notes.
Koro relationships gin evolve. They are not static. Obed relationship between an individual ama relationship between an organization kata political parties evolve. Now mean no kamoko bedo formed to kethore nikech evolution no ok ginya sustain the new changes winjo. Koro ma ODM gigie in their engagement in the 10 points agendas, the main issue, it was a thought. How do we sustain this relationship? Even to bring peace to this country and to strengthen our bargaining power as two different factors. That is what brought about the broad-based government in the spirit of working together to achieve a common goal. Yeah, it may not be the initial intention of them coming together. It is an evolution process that brought about the broad-based government.
Okay. Erokamano janeno ne wanyisi ni ka in kod penjo moro amora motende kod mbaka mwagoyo ka e studio motende kod winjruoge mag siasa to kawuono maino marwa en wang'iyo waketo duto te kuom winjruok kind UDA kod ODM. Penjo mwapenji janeno marwa, in kaka janeno be ing'eyo winjruok manitie kind UDA kod ODM? Be ing'eyo winjruok manitie kind UDA kod ODM? Kawadhi nyime en ni Gavana ma Siaya, Gavana James Orengo nogolo duonde piny kowacho ni winjruoge te mag siasa mosebede pacho ka chakre higni machien kind Raila Odinga kachiel kod serikande mopogore opogore osebedo maseche moko hinyruok nitie to nitie moko maber nowuoke. Kolero ni sirikal mane gibedo go higa mar 2002 manokelo nak Kenya ne winjruok obet ni Raila ne dhi bedo prime minister to gikone ne ok obedo, kasto winjruok ochako bet mar 2007 2008 bang' ka lweny owuok bang' yiero mar higa 2007. Migosi Orengo nomedo wacho ni winjruok mane nitie kind Kibaki kod Raila higa 2008 ne okete tim kolure kod wach manoketo tesre ni nyaka winjruogni kale bunge eka obed kaka chik. Mano omiyo Raila nobedo prime minister mathurka. Winjane kaka ne Migosi Orengo wacho kolure kod winjruoge mar siasa monego bedi e kind ODM kachiel kod UDA. Ma kaka ne Orengo yudo loso.
Ingene an kaka nonyuola. Ma en Orengo e kaka nonyuola. An ka gimoro rach awacho. Ma e kaka nonyuola, ok nonyuola Orengo moro mopogore. Ka gimoro rach to nyaka wach. Unyalo paro ka Raila Amolo Odinga ne loso agreement gi Moi. NDP odonjo e KANU. Ok nodonjo e KANU. Moi yudo kata minister, Raila obedo minister, Adhua Witi obedo minister. Bang' ndalo matin ka ji dhi yiero, Moi olokore ni koro baur lokau. Koro ka Uhuru Kenyatta moketo kanyo. Koro Raila oringo kendo koro kende kichako loso LDP. Akeno uparo ga gigo. Chaete sirikal manak Raila loso gi Kibaki. Uparo man. Kane iloso sirikal no, Kibaki nobedo president, Wamalo obedo vice president, to gindikre agreement nika gise loyo to Raila bro bedo prime minister. Kane okeregere Kibaki State House ni to wacha ne wach prime minister kendo ugolo kanyo. Muraila kendo wuok owere gi Kibaki wach Nakuru. Kendo kane wadhi Grand Coalition Government, macha an mna keto piny mondik moteri bunge molok katiba ni nyaka position ma Prime Minister bedie, Muraila obedo e komno kaka Prime Minister. Gima ministers, Raila oyiero ministers 11 nondiki. Koro an apenjra ga ni joluya gini usenene, kendo koro jagot ni ringa kodu kama, ugagano tutam tigero, mae ng'ama nupiem go, okonwa piem kode, koro ana wacho ga ni nyaka gino ndik e yo malong'o. Ok ni jomoko semi lodho bor gi chiemo to ne wan e sirikal. Sitima bose medre kae ni. Mbadi osekero lam kae. To Sangwenya be useyudo tich. Koro wach nigi ne uni sirikal wani miechwa. Uni sirikal wani yango? Nikech ODM no los kaka party ma konyo jopiny. Ok party ma dwaro ji ma donjo to jopiny to rango gi oko. Mane wach matin ma wachoga. To ka Ruto benga maber. Inge kaka sani Oburu wacho ni yo dabiri ndio tunalenga sana. Kora wacho ga nto mwase loso mang'eny ni. Rute madwaro wan ok odware. En modwan mondo wakonye. Okugo okoto wach ni mamiu en mondo wach ni orum. Mondo wach ni orum. Nikech Vice President no ineno ka jo Mombasa dware, jo Toko Dera dware, wadware, jo Meru dware, Meru be wacho ni jo madware uleka. Udwa donjo ke bedroom. Emomiyo an e Sudi be notamre. Cheregai be notamre. Koro an onego nyatieng. An kata ka dong kenda. Ndalo mwana ni parliament ma kanu ma one party. Ne wan ga jaria e parliament. Manyalo los. Kendigo ni koko kiyuda gine microphone. To jo mago ni koko. Ni orengo. Ni wacho marach. Omiyo an kata sani an ng'ato ka gona koko okowuoga. Okowuoga. Kadi gona koko ndur machalo na okowuoga. Emomiyo an awachonu kenda wachonu adier. Nyaka warang maber gimoro kwada donje. To warang maber bedie ndikruok mo malong'o. Nikech Ruto nigi ndikruok gi Mudavadi giseketo piny. Gin gi ndikruok gi Wetangula giseketo piny. Gin gi ndikruok gi Kingi Giri giseketo piny. Koro marwa miwacho ga wacha ni namba ni wabro yudo ni wadwaro power. To power no iyude mana gi dhok. Tae to koro gi marach ni Raila noweyo 10-point agenda. Kata chiel pokote. Ka okonyal timo ma Raila. Te paro ni jok mago koko gi obro timo dier. Ng'ani molaro go Raila president. En molaro go Raila president. Raila kobedo president ok nikech ng'ato. Ok obedo president gi laro gi Ruto. Muruto wacho ne ma tero nyaka Bondo. To jomo keto sufria i wigi nyaka Raila wuon no chielo grisas ko chielo. Koro nyaka. Koro ingeni gik moko miwacho wacha gi. An kata ka iwacho nang'o. Dan oporo mano umiya ni. An awacha. Na winjo kage wacho wach mawe. Mawe ane mawe mimi ndo kidi. Mimi ndio kidi. Kama hawajui mimi ndio kidi. adog chien ko sadhi kaka dhin. Tae nyaka nene Kenya bedi. Kaka nyaka nene Kenya bedi. Onge odiochieng. Ma oganda ma luo okobedo gi presidential candidate. Nyaka nene. To sani, wadhi adhia kanyo. Anadwaro ane ko buru dhi kanyo. To wacho na ani madwa bedo president. Koro in miwena. Kamane kakichako loso. An ODM wainan mabedo president. Even the UDA wajani mabedo president. Koro nyaka wayal wachno ikindwa mondi. Kan mane machako go. Kosa wacho marach. Omeo weche biro nyime kae. Kae ni pole pole mambo zinakuja tutarekebisha, lakini lazima mkae mara. Sisi tuna vuguvugu. Tena vuguvugu anija duunga vuguvugu ya vijana. Vuguvugu ya Gen Z. Na hakikisha wa Kenya nzima hii vuguvugu ambao tutawaweka mbele Gen Zs na vijana, wasichana wetu na vijana wetu tunataka wawe kwa mstari wa mbele, ndio tutafika. Na sisi tunataka kwenda Canaan direct, hakuna kupitia malingine. Raila no the Canaan. No rao kamoro.
Neno kumidukete Cityscope TV chendo mane yamo en Kom Mbaka kawuono owuoyo kuom winjruoge mag siasa. To penjo mwapenji janeno en ni ng'eyo mari en mane kuom winjruoge mar siasa motende kod UDA kod ODM. Wuo kod nembniwa mag studio mabende nie wang' jowi ni kanyo inyiswa pachi kolure kod ng'eyo mari manitie e winjruok kind UDA kod ODM. Ng'eni Migosi Orengo wacho ni wach motende kod winjruoge ma osebedo mar kisiasa chakre ga 2002 okelo lerne to kelo kaka osebedo kotimore kolure kaka ong'eye kendo kaka okil. Audi ogada Audi Mike Musainya kuom nyinge na Audi Mike ka wang'iyo kuom wach mar Orengo no winjruoge patterns mag winjruok en ang'o? Winjruoge mar siasa kaka osebedo tuo kind Kibaki gi Raila 2827 kind
to winjruoge mag siasa nigi elements ariyo kaka nachako mokwongo ni political interest. En ber mane ma party ka party mabire agreement dhi yudo e agreement. Political interest is the baseline. And another element ma characterize the political agreement, political engagements and betrayal. If that interest is not served, then betrayal is looming. And it is never that personal to the extent that people are actual enemies. It is just their interests are not being served, then they decide to part ways. Yeah. So the narrative in the public domain must be controlled in the sense that inyalo yudo ni ng'ato koro giwuoyo marach on both sides. But that is for politics. That is for politics to control that narrative of separation. Like, kanyalo miye example sani, Babu Owino nigi Sifuna in one camp. Or suddenly, Babu Owino gi Sifuna part ways. They have to come up with a narrative explaining why they are parting ways. Another thing, Sifuna, Enja ODM, ODM man Secretary General Emogwe, to watch this Sifuna ne go ODM, ka baba kondo gima. Winjo to bako be wacha gima raino. Sifuna reason mar wuok ODM, which is obvious in the public public eye. Ma build on it, then people will side with it. Koro inyalo chako gimoro kaka inyalo wuoyo marach about the leader. I'm not saying he did, I'm giving an example. Inyalo wuoyo marach about the leader, inyalo pingo party from within because you want them to send you away. Because kiwuoka ni resign to kidhi bedo gi momentum. Koro to control the narrative, idwaro riembi. Koro timo everything possible mondo riembi, kaito kose riembi ichako go siasa oko kata kisabat kakitio negi matin kakigolo from grass to grass, and then finally you are pushed out, and there are people will say yeah, we did well. Kech tije ben waneno notio maber mana tier kaka secretary general. Though the Mariet no contribute to the party a lot. Koro mataina no, ki resign, just leave and resign. People will start asking themselves why. Koro nyaki build that narrative in their minds. They also sinning and jalka gi majogi dago. Gine magi conclude. Kidok korka patterns mag agreements. Siasa koni. Iyudo ka ng'iyo gima mar Raila kaka notimo negotiations mage. Raila was always, after the first betrayal, which was in public domain, mane Raila gi Kibaki obiro pamoja. Their agreement was to the effect, from what Raila is now revealing, that Raila was going to be made the Prime Minister. Kibaki okawote. To ne Raila supported up to 90% of votes from Nyanza and Western provinces. Koro kane Kibaki osekao telo, otelo ndugo bedo mamit. Kibaki enyalo paro niya, Prime Minister is going to control a lot of government functions. To kono be pesa nitie, kono be resources nitie. Koro Kibaki nonyono ne piny, mondo mano kik timre. To Raila, being the aggressive leader as he was, he saw that Nimaina Mokanyatio go beyond 2007. So he had to retreat and create a narrative about that issue. Every political movement or political narrative must be controlled for it to work. Yeah.
Yes.
So what Raila said at that moment was that Kibaki did not honor their agreement. Remember, we did not know the entire agreement. We knew it when they now parted ways. That was, if that was meant to control the narrative, I may not tell at the moment. But the point is Raila was betrayed. Because you cannot stop working with someone with whom you have an agreement for no reason. Yeah? Koro Raila was betrayed in that sense, and he learned a lesson. From that point going forward, every agreement Raila entered into was well structured. Wanyalo neno
2008 kinde mane gidonje sirkal mar
2008 mane wadonje coalition government. Raila insisted that it has to pass through the parliament, right? It has to be structured and made into law. Because if that is not done, Kibaki would wake up one day and say your position is out of the constitution.
Yes.
And because we were rushing to draft the elements of that govern that part of changes, there might have been gaps in law that were left. Consultation in parliament about who is to control government business.
Yes, yes.
The government realized there was loophole in the enactment of that law.
Yes,
it did not clearly state who is to control government business. Koro, people were arguing it was the Vice President, Kalonzo Musyoka. Raila's side was arguing that that is a function bestowed upon the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister, yes.
Yeah. So that agreement, in as much as it was done in a rush, to some extent, but only protect Raila Odinga in his post of being the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Though there are things that still it denied him on the basis that there were gaps
in that law.
Yeah. So So moving forward again to 2018, Kane Raila otimo handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta in February 2018. It came as a surprise, but the negotiation was done in a boardroom meeting before they came to the public.
Yeah.
It was well structured, and they had an end goal in mind, a way forward in mind. So it was not just something that they were coming together in public, and then they are now going back to draft on how they are going to work. They already structured how they would work, the relationship going forward, and then they came to the public to announce the handshake. And the majority of Kenyans welcomed it because it also brought peace to this country. They are working together, actually brought a lot of changes in this country. Koro compare, the same handshake, kakano actually relationships are progressive. It led to the BBI proposal. I will not go into details about the BBI proposal today.
Yes.
It brought about the BBI proposal. That was an initial agreement. BBI proposal was not an afterthought after the handshake. BBI must have been discussed at the point of the negotiation before the handshake was announced in public.
Okay.
And they must have agreed that after the handshake, this is the agenda we are going to push. Because you don't just come together, then you disappear. There must be an agenda that you are going to drive in the public to keep that relationship. Mano shida ma ODM UDA after the death of Raila is trying to figure out how are we working together as two factions.
Yes.
ODM relied heavily on the personality of Raila. ODM was actually known to be Raila. Raila was a negotiator. He was influential. He most probably was the most popular person in this country.
Absolutely.
And when you're going to a political table for a deal, you don't go as a weakling. Raila would mobilize his troops so that the other side would see how powerful he is before he is invited to the table. And he would be invited. He doesn't invite himself to the table. He would be invited for negotiations. You know, when you are so valuable, people invite you. You don't invite yourself.
Exactly.
To the table. And then they don't tell you what they are offering. You tell them what you want.
Yes.
Okay, on that note where you're talking, in this case, Kama Orengo is saying that the agreement should be well structured. And we find that the memorandum of understanding was done between ODM as Raila and UDA as Uhuru. At the moment, as Ruto. Kakaruto. As per now, who is standing in this seat of Raila? Because we find that Orengo Mauwe Mamachoni, it should be structured. By now, the ODM is divided into two. One ODM leader ground, ODM Sisindo Sifuna.
Linda Mwananchi.
Kama ya Linda Mwananchi. Kama Linda Mwananchi ni kama wanego Orengo, wanegi Sifuna, wanegi Babu Wino, togi Widi Benedika. Cool. Who is going to sign? Who is going to structure this thing for us to have a structured agreement? Yes.
Manoto Benjamin Yoko Nyalobero Mayot. Imatek coming up with this structure. But the signing of the structure, but in the legal arm of it, and the legal representative for such documents is the Secretary General Masai. Kataka ni neno natiko report Sifuna na mbele kacha. Wenye ulino zangu ni biro kalura ni Secretary General Masai. Legitimate.
Legitimate, huh?
But kawa assume ni onyalo act Because any acting capacity, a person who is in acting capacity can actually effect changes.
But dongo nyiso ni onge gik manyalo timo kolore kod wacha pod ni e
do wach mantie do ni Sifuna's Oster golo mar Sifuna en illegal.
Nyiso ni kare omanyo bende en illegal. Koro nyiso ni ok onyal sign anything.
What was the process mar golo Sifuna? Yes. Is it truly illegal? In any court Kenya law, one of the reasons Mother Society Ogago is just to delay when they know something is actually correctly done. Inyalo dhi court, ing'anya courts mag Kenya. In case inyalo kawo kata 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Obedo decided change ma winjo sewil ma wuoyi gimoro mopogore. Winjo. Koro to siasa be tiyoga gima in various ways, but specifically in the case mar Sifuna, was he illegally removed as the Secretary General? Who is supposed to be removing Sifuna from the office? Who are the people who are supposed to meet and remove Sifuna? Is Sifuna elected or appointed?
Sifuna is elected, should be elected through NDC. Onekubeni yere through NDC.
Guru, man is the point of contention. Now, NDC is going to be organized by ODM very soon. Guru, kataka case ni dimbele, kataka the win ni nobole branch. He will not be reinstated to that position. Let's just assume probability ni Sifuna court or achani nobole yo marach. The best the court can do is to effect compensation for illegal removal, just like termination of contract. If I'm your employer to terminate your contract, it turns out it was not right, maybe prematurely, there is no disciplinary case, etc. The best the court will do is not to reinstate you to the position, is to award you the salary for the full term of that contract.
Okay.
Koro Sifuna, Kajogo are determined in your current Secretary General, he's not going to come back to that position.
Okay.
And I wouldn't even advise him to get back there.
But do you think ni pogrok mantie ODM as per now will delay the agreement? Because if you cannot put your house in order, to nitie lweny moro modhi mbele kachacha. Ere kaka wach ni jolweny wa motegno gin ng'ane ema dhi noka chacha. Kech noka samoro an machung'ni monego beni appoint jolweny. To kaka appoint jolweny tek nikech I disagree go kuma, I disagree go kodi. Koro ere kaka wadhi ka map mwabed gi jolweny madhi no e negotiation thing table kacha. Yeah.
Tende ni shoto penjo ni yani, how can a divide dere kaka duol bura mopogore nyalo wuoyo gi duol motegno?
Wanyalo agree wate ni when a leader of all political parties chakoga gi ng'ato ama group, but in most cases in country waka mar Kenya, mostly ng'ato chakoga political party. En ga vision bearer mar political party. Kwa ng'yo kata KANU, the face of KANU ne en
Nen Moi.
Kwa ng'yo ODM, the face of ODM en
Raila.
Do UDA, the face of UDA
And Ruto.
When that person, the vision bearer of that party, steps aside or becomes the late, that party is affected in several ways. There is always a possibility mar pogruok kato bed manan kanisa. Nitie jok mabiro e church moro nikech pastor no yalo ga maber. To ka pastor no koro onge kata Nyasaye okawe. Ngano nyalo manyo kanisa moro.
That is true. To bende ok doyud machal gi macha.
Nitie ng'at moro ma Nyasaye omiyo ga ng'ato ka ng'ato mopogore gi ji te.
That is true.
So Raila was a perfectly unifying factor. To jok maluwe bende luwe tok chulo. Kata joma gone kura to kochuli.
Yeah.
Organic momiyo kano chung mowacho wuoyo wach Gen Z to the next day protest manentie the whole country no chung.
Exactly.
Without him going from county to county. Ka we lose such a leader, the party is somehow shaken. But is ODM weak? Answer no. ODM is not weak. Can we compare ODM with other parties? ODM, the strength of ODM will reduce after the death of Raila. That is a fact. But is it weak? No. If you compare, ODM is still a strong party, actually the strongest party in this country, in terms of relative comparison. In your UDA will have to structure a few things to match ODM. ODM need grassroots structures. ODM kataka biro koleka. There are groups managed by the locals, the MCAs, the MPs. ODM make structure. Even the delegate system where ODM ikoju sana. So such a party, when that leader leaves the party, pogrom is a possibility. That was the most powerful person we had. Someone would say that in this party. They start analyzing every person behind him who can actually fit or be close to what he is in the party. Koromano will inform that pogrom. Okay, there are people who will say, Nisifuna ni Emone Bukawu.
Enemone will negotiate.
Enemone will negotiate on behalf of this party. But every party bentira kumano chake mose wotoko, and they are very powerful people. They also want. When there is such a vacuum, everyone wants. Okay? That leader will build such a momentum, but it is just easy than starting afresh. You mean, when people are fighting to be in ODM. You mean, Sifuna has been powerful because he was in ODM.
Okay.
He's been powerful because he was a member and the Secretary General of ODM. It was an opportunity for him to be in the national political limelight. Everyone must in at the top seat in ODM actually has a national voice. He was very powerful, the Secretary General of ODM. Anyone Mukalo through ODM who hold a political seat in ODM at the top in that party is actually a powerful figure in this country. Katajo Mudongi Mupoko, Kwangyo Rengo Gini, Nyangnyoma, Kwangyo Life Mara Nyangnyoma in ODM, Kwangyo James Orengo, Kwangyo Nawakendo, Kwangyo Kakamega Wangi,
Oparanya.
These are very vocal people from where they are coming from. Because they have worked with ODM.
Okay.
Okay, party mina luwo kimayot. Toki work, nyakibet reason
behind it.
You build a narrative on so that you can build yourself elsewhere. Otherwise, cooking proper strategy. Mano is something that can also affect the Sifuna camp. Sifuna has an opportunity. Political deals are made when the pressure is at the peak. And when the pressure is at the peak, and when your popularity is at the peak, politics is also like art. Katajato, nitie naloma jo heri kabisa. Mane nalomi miyogi gik magedwaro. Koro sani, Sifuna kamora mora were. In the euphoria of the moment, they need to come up with a proper strategy on how to take advantage of that.
To dong ma bende nyalo miyo nyaka ODM bedo weak nikech kolure kod kuonde ma ODM en gi mbi. Yudo ka Sifuna chal ka gima ginvade kata gidonjore go kabisa. Dong ma nyalo miyo kata ko negotiation bedo mbele ka nyalo bedo ok bed gi tek ahinya ka dine bende Raila dentie. Negotiation dino bedo gi teko ka dentie, but kako onge ni negotiation en nyalo bedo matek ndwari. Kolore gi nina mwananchi.
Okay, kaber. Ati dokidiri mkongo kaber. To ODM is more powerful when it is united. Makajokumani linda mwananchi linda
ground.
Kagin united. Ano is a very powerful ODM.
Yeah.
Kaber. To pogrokni does not affect the party so much. Doesn't affect the party so much. But it affects the party. That's the point.
Okay.
Ka anigiti miachiel ta lose diarrhea. That figure of 2 is very important to me.
Exactly.
I'd rather have 100 than 98. But when I have 98, I still have more. The Sifuna camp is building up momentum. to kata parties mara ilosebedo go kiyudo chakre wuok nyaka Ford Kenya etc. Iyudo ka it is first built on momentum mar euphoria when Sifuna camp is enjoying at the moment. This euphoria, if not well managed, we have a history it fails. It fails. Babu was very powerful and could have been a very powerful figure if he had strategized well. Already he was on the limelight. Katamana controlling western part of Kenya, the lawyer community, he was already at the peak. But where is he now? We talk about western politics. Who are the faces behind western politics? Babu may not be at the top, but he still controls some section though. Cool. ODM is not weakened by these two factions. And you may not be surprised if in 2027 this was well managed to the sense that ODM comes back together.
Okay.
We must always have what we call a narrative and who is controlling the narrative.
Okay.
As I said earlier.
Koro winjruok nyalo duogo bedo gin kamoro achiel.
There is a possibility. There is a possibility. If it is true that Edwin Sifuna and Team Babu Owino and Winnie Odinga and Orengo are walking away from ODM, it can only result into two things. It can be a powerful political force that will negotiate a coalition with the most powerful parties, most probably ODM and UDA. So as the third force.
Koro hizo ni kagi
But
wuok.
the second option is, if it is not strategically managed, euphoria rumoga, neno kaka Gen Z ni malo. The political pressure was so high. Euphoria mar politics rumoga. People start analyzing you on the basis of what is your manifesto. What are you going to do to the people? Are you just singing Ruto must go? Are you just saying this? What are you actually, what is your agenda? They now ask themselves, what is your agenda? If that is not well articulated, or bring out very clearly to the people, Magi buy that idea, then wananchi will start shifting back to the original idea.
Okay.
And then this faction will just die a natural death.
To in case ne gichope rang'eny mar bedo giloso duond buchgi to gibedo motegno ma iwacho third force kata duol mar adek e winjruogni, ere kaka ODM mar ariyo tiende ni ODM in second part nyalo loso winjruok makare gi serikal mar Ruto? Bende nitie teko ka third force obiro ma en kod G to en gi structure, ere kaka gini
isebedo kata isebedo a political argument mora or discussion mora at friendship level, or maybe you're in a church and then you decide to talk about politics. I believe you have noticed that the groups are divided on the almost 50-50, whether to support Sifuna, and the people who are in ODM are so serious that they can't change their mind. And majority of them are very good historical background in ODM. Yeah? Majority of the people on the other side of Sifuna, Babu Owino, mostly are young people. Yeah? So
kagibedo third force be dhi miyo ODM bedo gi winjruok makare.
I'm coming to that. Korabina no ni ODM, I say it is the strength of ODM has actually reduced, but it is not weak. Yeah.
It has reduced dok chien.
Simba Kotagoya.
Niwele npa.
Mori when you can Simba. It is relatively after the death of Raila and further the separation of the Sifuna camp from ODM. Those two things have affected the strength of the original of ODM party.
Okay.
If in any case the Sifuna camp form a party and they go up to the 2027 elections, they will become also a party to negotiate.
Okay.
Yeah? But that doesn't mean that ODM will be powerless. ODM has real die-hard fans. It has a fan base. And political parties, their negotiating power is based on their fan base. And they have strategists. They have people who have a long history in politics with good experience of how to manage the populations. Politics has not actually started. Next year, 2027, January, February, that's when we are going to see the unleashing of the actual power of every political party. People are fighting to take power, which is the ultimate goal of every political party. There are people who are fighting for presidency and different levels. If you study the life of Gachagua so much, he's fighting to control Central, maybe not the whole country. So that, the reason for that is that so that he becomes a force for negotiation, so that he can be invited to the table. If he can manage to control Mount Kenya, which has 10 counties, he'll be able to control 10 governors. And how many MPs come from Mount Kenya? So many MPs.
Yeah.
Now, when you're making decisions in Parliament, Gachagua will be a force to negotiate with.
Okay.
If he's able to control Parliament, it may not be presidency. But if you're the president and 70% of the members of Parliament are from a party within which is opposing your work, then you will have to humble and listen to them.
Okay. To koro ka in case ni gibedo third force, Sifuna ginobedo third force, ere kaka gidhi miyo winjruok mar ODM ma original bedo gi tich mar winjruok margi gi sirikal dhi bedo nade, nikech ka gibedo third force nyiso ni nitie kaka winjruok nyalo ng'ukore. Ng'ato nodwaro 50-50 kodwa, to waneno ka un joma kama, koro un abro miu 20 tami 30 joga. Tende ni koro chiro nyiepo dhi yombore. Bedo ni threat winjruok.
For now is a possibility.
Okay.
It's not a reality.
Okay.
It is a possibility based on speculation of what may happen.
Yeah.
And Ruto may also not want a united opposition. If I were Ruto, I would actually pray that if Sifuna is not coming back to ODM, let them be a third force.
Okay.
Instead of joining Kalonzo Kam. Yeah. So he may work on making sure that the opposition is not united, because that is very dangerous for the incumbent, the current regime.
Okay.
So if we have the third force and already has backed ODM, even 50% of ODM, then that may simply mean we can have a runoff. And in a runoff, the next election we are only having two factions. The first and the second. Now there is no third force. That is where we're now going to get the winner. But when you have a united opposition, election will be decided once. If they are so powerful, it becomes a real threat. But after in a runoff, we shall have even understood the pattern of elections and how we can negotiate. These people who are second, tuliwashinda na ngapi, in which region? We have an opportunity to analyze the pattern of their voters and verify whether if we just go with them still opposing us, we will win. Then we just go with them. Or we can bring them on board. You see? Okay. So negotiations in a runoff are easier because you already know the voting pattern. You have the figures and you can do your analysis very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Koro nyiso ni third force nyalo bedo.
It might.
It might.
It's not a reality.
It is not a reality.
And there's also a possibility that Sifuna's camp may come back to ODM.
Exactly.
This may as well be a narrative to mobilize supporters of ODM.
Okay.
Because after the death of Raila, if things are just moving as they were,
can be predicted.
The wananchi are people who are very speculative.
Okay.
They'll want to start thinking, who are these people putting as the leader? What is the agenda for 2027? Are they going to the elections? Okay. If you do something the same way, it becomes boring. Right? So wananchi will want something that is actually working against the current courts.
Okay.
So there's also a possibility. This is just a speculative approach. There's also a possibility that the Sifuna camp is meant to influence such kind of people who are thinking outside ODM.
Okay.
To follow them, bring them together, and finally bring that basket back to the party.
To the party. Okay, hero kamana inya Audi Mike kuom kete kanyo. Janeno ma chenro mar Kom Mbaka manie yamo Cityscope TV penyo be ing'eyo winjruok man kinde UDA kod ODM. Kwadhi nyime eni wach power osebedo ka wachore ahinya e rallies mag ODM Linda Ground. Kawachako kod migosi Junet Mohamed e gwenge mag Suna East nowacho ni ka ODM wangne kaka ODM ogibi bedo kaka flower girls kata jogo moting'o maua. To giwacho ni power emanyaka giyudi, to ka onge to ginyalo manyo kama chielo. Kasto bende migosi Oburu Odinga kane ni bondo juma makoro odigi kodira ma Jumapil ma piny norugo nyoro, eneno wacho ni gidwaro power o gidwaro bedo opposition. Winjane kaka ne kandariogi owuoyo. Kasto mar adek eni migosi William Ruto noyudo ka wacho ni jok moko wacho ni gidwaro power. En power mane? En power mar jo comrade kose en power machal nade? E gwenge mane oyudo ko en ogo ka wuotho e gwenge mag Nairobi kocha no wacho wach machal kod mane. Wawinjane kanda adek gi. Kasto jalony mar weche mag siasa biro konyowa fuono korgi koda tachgi bende wachomo yo makare e winjruok motende kod wuoyo e rally kose en winjruok motende kod wuoyo aching kolure kod duond chik. Wawinjane kaka kanda gi adek ne obedo mondo wamiane kaka funi mag gichal.
Watu wa broad based, wenzetu wa broad based ambao wako kwa chama ya UDA, nataka kuwatangazia nikiwa hapa Posta Suna East constituency Migori County ya kwamba sisi hatusindikizi watu kwa harusi, tunataka power. Kama hakuna power, tutatafuta pali pengine iko power. Tumeelewana hiyo watu wa Migori?
I want to say that on Tuesday, when it is finally announced, it will not be the end of the world. What is going to happen is that we are going to receive an interim report of the implementation of the 10-point agenda. It is a continuous process and it will not end soon. It will end maybe even by 2027, some of the items will not be over. The implementation will continue, but I hate those who are saying that we go out of government. We are already here in government in broad-based arrangement, which is a loose arrangement. But we are soon going to tighten to have a coalition government. Those who are telling us that first of all, let us move out and join Gachagua Rigji and then come back to government. How do you come from government again and again you come back to it? Our people must be in power. And we want power. And we want power for the people, not power for ourselves.
Ikiisha miezi miwili kama hujalete pass hapa, hawa watu watakosana na wewe. Mimi nitanunua bus, nitapatia huyu mjamaa alete hapa. Nasikia wewe boss. Ama mnasemaje watu wa PC Kinyanjui? Nasema tuendelee namna hiyo? Mnasema tuendelee namna hiyo? Mimi nataka niulize comrades. Comrades power. Mimi nasikia kuna watu wanatafuta power. Comrades power. Sijui ni hii power yenu ama ni power ingine. Ni gani? Ni hii yenu. Comrades power. Sikizeni bwana. You have an opportunity. Leo hapa katika PC Kinyanjui, the reason why we are expanding the education infrastructure in this college is because we believe that the biggest empowerment we can give to the young people.
Erokamano ahinya janeno marwa mar Cityscope TV, erokamano kuom medo kete Cityscope TV e chenro mar Kom Mbaka, kama kawuono wago mbaka kuom winjruoge mag siasa, to wawuoyo kuom ahinya kind winjruok mar ODM kod UDA. Wayudo ka Migosi Junet wacho ni wang'ni ok gibi wuotho kaka flower girls, gibiro dwaro ni mondo giyud power, to kamano ok otimre to gibiro manyo kuonde moko ma dwachgi nyalo chopo kare mar yudo power. Kasto Migosi Oburu Odinga wacho ni onge yo ma ng'ato nyalo wuok e sirikal kodwaro manyo go power ken oko, mano nyaka wang'ni wayudo power, mano kolure kod Migosi Oburu Odinga. To kani Migosi Ruto ma en jatend piny owacho noyudo ka loso e gwenge moko, e gweng' moro Nairobi, owacho ni nitie power ma jomoko wacho kose en power ma Comrade dwaro ni to nyiero ma nyalo chopo kodwa kanye. Mane miyo odwa ni mondo Migosi Audi Mike ilero ane ni to kolure kod kanda adek gi, Migosi Junet wacho ni wang'ni ok gibi wuotho ka flower girls, Migosi Oburu wacho ni onge yo ma inyalo dwar go power from outside kendo ichak iduoge power. Ka in e power iwacho weche power, koro wan odwaro power. Then Migosi Ruto wacho ni nitie jomoko wacho ni dwaro power, ok ane power ne en mane. Pachi ringo nade?
Penjo mar Ruto no. Ruto understand ni power means what? Power may not necessarily even be being a president.
Okay.
Who has the actual authority to decide on things? Man is the most powerful person.
Okay.
Nyabero ni president ongege minya wacho kanyo koka approve. No president. It may not come in form of position, presidency, but control of resources. That is real power. How resources are distributed, that is real power. If you are able to influence development in your region, that is real power. Sometimes people may talk about Raila in that sense. Even without being president, he was able to negotiate and bring presidents on board to listen and do certain things. That is real power. Okay. Now, if Ruto is asking which power do you want, he's simply telling ODM to sit down and structure and organize themselves to come to the negotiating table with their demands. Okay. Yeah? Okay, we do. Which power? What do you want to control? Because you're talking about we want power. Which power do you want? Do you want to unseat me as Ruto? Okay. Do you want to work with me as Ruto? Because I'm now the leader of government. I'm now the president. Do you want to work with me? Resources so that power can be transmitted through that channel. You are not clear. That's what Ruto is communicating to ODM.
Manyiso ni bende Ruto chal ka gima oneno ni ODM is a bit disorganized.
At the moment, even from the Wananchi's point of view, we are not sure where we are heading to after the death of Raila. We don't know whether this deputy president that they are seeing is actually what we are going to get or go for, or we are going to go for presidency, because some are singing presidency within the party. That is what we want. We are confused as the supporters of ODM. We are also asking which power do we want? Okay. And our leaders at the top in this party need to sit down and structure their demands, and then structure their demands so that the common Mwananchi can know about them. And it may come in form of that deputy presidency.
The deputy presidency, you depap, because you don't give the guinea.
Structuring political engagements. You must have a clear end goal.
Usually structured onge.
It is not there.
Okay.
Actually, Ruto is doing us a favor, which he should not. He's reminding us that we are not having a structure of a structured demand. If we are demanding for certain things, then we need to actually be clear about them.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be doing that to a very long-serving party with historical reforms like ODM. They should know better on what they're supposed to be doing. So those leaders, if they're still waiting for Ruto to come and organize them, then we are doomed. That's why maybe we're seeing this faction of Sifuna, Kambe, Babu, and I say that if they are very strategic and they capitalize on the current situation, then they can also be a force. Yeah, politics is about strategy, it's about interest. What are the interests of the top leaders? What are the interests of common wananchi? Where do we converge? Do we have that one clearly articulated? And so when we are going for political negotiations, we are invited for political negotiations. What exactly are the common wananchi expecting out of it? So we must build that narrative before that kind of negotiation takes place. So like Raila was always like 2027 to Kokwadem. So we already know Raila will be in the ballot. Even immediately after the previous election, we know Raila is on the ballot. And then we ODM had
koro mano nyiso ni wach manorengo wacho ni ok onego dwar number 2 manyu number 1 mondo miu teko mar
if you're negotiating in any sphere of life, you always start with the highest demand, which may not be your target. It may be a good thing, but may not be necessarily what you want for now. But to start higher. If you go if you're selling clothes, someone comes to buy clothes from you. If you want 200 from this piece of cloth, you may put the price at maybe 500, so that you can negotiate and reason back to 200. If you start at 200, you may end up selling it at 150.
Even at 100.
Even at 100. So they are thinking about deputy. The ultimate goal of every political party is to capture power. Why are they feeling they are not capable of getting the presidency?
Koro nyiso ni wach kotende kod Junet kod Oburu kaka wuoyo nyiso ni king'iyo kaka ne Raila timo negotiation ne nyiso ni nitie kaka missing of the mark nitie ka nitie kaka nitie pogruok ji oselalo yo.
Yes, there's a difference. So Raila was a diplomat. He was leveraging on, if I may mention just 2 or 3. Diplomacy is one of them. He was also leveraging on the pressure to the government, putting a lot of pressure so that you are the one who is invited. You don't go. You don't go asking them to bring you to the table. They start calling you.
So right now, Sani ODM to chalga gima dwaro ni mondo rwakgi.
They are inviting themselves to the negotiation table. The government or the person who values you will come for you. You don't go looking for people to value you and realize what you are. They need to see it without you telling them. So Raila was leveraging on that pressure on the government, so that the government sees the need that I need to call this person to the table and streamline workflows in my government. So Raila was also leveraging on let's see the current situation. You see, the mindset of common wananchi is based on what they want now, not tomorrow. So Raila was a good communicator of what is affecting wananchi at the moment. Example, we want Kenya to look like USA. But how long will it take us to get there? What we need now, I want to eat, I want to dress, I want to get a place to lay my head in the evening. So Raila was addressing current issues that are affecting wananchi, and he was resonating with them so that even when he tells them to come to the streets, they see a very good reason as to why they should go to the street.
But behind the scenes, nitika interest moro nitie mar negotiation mare.
Yes, the ultimate goal is to make the government listen and invite you to the negotiation table so that you can streamline your interest in that table. So that is one of the things. And then Raila also made sure that he unified his party. A party speaking in one voice is stronger than divided. Dissenting opinions. He was like able to bring people together, the top leaders. ODM was always going out as one. If you remember, even in 2022, all the leaders were speaking the same voice.
Okay.
As long as you are in ODM, there was no one when you speak against what the party has approved.
Yes.
During the time of Raila, I never saw it. And then the strategic timing of Raila, when there was political momentum, he took advantage of it to highlight his policies and demands at such moments. And then control of public narrative, he was able to shape how public understands the process.
Okay.
And we did that through messaging and constant updates.
Okay.
Raila was holding pressers all the time. Press conference, breaking news, and people would tune in because they always know that Raila has something to say. So he was updating.
So it means ne sani kaka koloregi kaka weche temorene chani ODM nitie in an environment ma is confused nikech ka koro buru nyalo wacho power irani to Raila ne pok wacho gima odwaro en onyiso gima jopiny onego winji gi yo monego giwinjego gi gima sirikal onego tim ne jopiny.
Raila ne ng'eny gi surprise kata mana handshake gi Uhuru we didn't know kata mana joma ne ODM mantie malo kocha ng'eny gi bino kong'eyo ni jogo dhi mosre ginene TV ka jogo mosore nikech nitiere negotiations moko ma you don't need everybody. Nitie jok mapili tinisana no ni gini ber. We need a leader ma indecisive, sometimes can go against other leaders because he knows ni gima dwaro ni en gima ber ikonyo ji ng'ani seche moko nigi self interest odwaro en jodonga ich ma odwaro mochamo
marumo kode
ng'ano dhi ni pesa di kimosri kode ang'o gini go biro kichie. Koro as long as ni noneno ni gini en gima ber ipo mane TV kata ka ne in kode numadho chai tipo ma kineno TV Raila wuoyo to wacho gimopogore gi gimuwacho. Kata mana 207 mano support Kibaki, there is a group that he was working with, they did not expect Raila would say Kibaki Tosh. But Raila analyzed. At that moment, he was beginning his political journey. He was popular, but not so much in the whole country.
Okay.
There is no way Raila would beat Moi if Kikuyu is united under one candidate.
Okay.
Because Moi and the Kalenjin, the whole Kalenjin fraternity, were behind a Kikuyu candidate.
Okay.
At that moment. So, the most likely person in Raila's camp would not be able to marshal up support in the whole country at that moment, though they were popular in the different regions.
Okay.
So instead of us losing to this regime that you want to remove, he decided to support Kibaki. Because he knew that he had the support of the whole Nyanza put together with the support of the mountain. And you've known how mountain votes. He knew that if he did that, then Moi would be out.
Okay.
And that is exactly what happened.
Rebecca, something?
Yeah.
Ngiminyalo wacho?
Hii tunataka power. Everywhere power. You know, hii tunataka power. It's somehow political strategy for securing some shares in the government.
Okay.
Why do I say political strategy? When Honorable Guru is talking, he normally says tunataka power. Na akiendelea hapo mbele unapata anasema especially tunalenga ile ya DP anataka power, lakini wanalenga position ya deputy president. So, power, the government wants some shares from the ODM, as in vote-wise. Then, the ODM wanataka shares for government, as in they want the position of the deputy. That is one strategy why tunataka power Another thing is broad-based approval. Why do I say broad-based approval? When Oburu was talking, he praised broad-based to be the best one ever. And Senator Odedama ama akiongea na Wajaluo, mtakuwa wajinga sana msipo support broad-based government iya utaka power. Kwa nonga this broad-based Kenya, but jomoko mieni an opposition of the elites only. Koro jomani kaka opposition of the elite, ewominoka ODM is divided. One more power ni one power mundu arona waonge kanyo nikech kingiyo kata the 10 points agenda Oburu is supporting ni I was there to Sifuna go wacho na gik mano wachika onge mosetim kata di kata chiel koro there's that division ma koro wangi opposition of the for the elite tunataka power thing. Then another thing in youth empowerment focus.
Okay.
Can youth empowerment focus ka odugonyenyore ayanga manye President Ruto on the border. That is on 8th. Odugo wacho namo ni when you hear Honorable Oburu talking of power, or talk of power, God want you empower the youths. Iwijo. Koro kanye kama wabede ki big question. Oburu anataka power. Another video, President Ruto penjo niya. Banko sigoni comrade power. Nasikia wengine wanataka power. Sijui ni power ya comrade ndo wanataka ama ni power gani. Neno. Mano nicho wacho kapo kunyo biro bondo. Kanyo biro bondo, tukoro wacho ni kuwinjo ngane wacho power. Power mo wacho and to empower the youth. Kori ni Japan don't can give divided opinion. Ni ka Oburu wacho ni tunataka power. To president modwaro power ile openjo ni power mane. To the same president chak dugo wacho ni kiwinjo Oburu wacho power to power mo wacho en mar youth. Koro niso ni maybe it is a way of confusing us. Koro wacho ni power to empower the youth to bring the basket of youth in the same basket of tunataka power.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
It's a strategy. Yeah.
Hero kamana.
Bideno kawacho ni this time will not be flower girls. We want the real thing. Koro, Junet and Oburu plus Wanga. They really need to come up with a good strategy. Monogini kaka tunataka power initiative. Give them negotiate MSA kachacha. Mokni each and every now and then they come kama jopinye manteni. Tunataka power, we are not going to be the flower girls, we don't want this. Yeah, they really need to organize themselves. Yeah.
Kamana inya janeno marwa mar Cityscope TV ene omora inya bedo kodika chenro mar Kom Mbaka mano chakre sangwen aneno ka dakika wa chal ka gima oserumo nadwano mondo miya wendo wa Woody Mike wach mugi kasto wachopo tiko mar chenro ne an Joseph Okuma ne an kod nyawadwa Rebecca Awino wewene Woody Mike wach mugi then watika tika.
Pero kamana inya Joseph ni Rebecca bedo koda kaka wuono pero kamano matuo kumia thuolo mar wuoyo gi jopiny weche machalo chunywa pile koda siasa. To daher wacho ni siasa en wuoth mabor. To kaka timre kawuono ke kaka timre kiny. To ndalo achiel e siasa nyalo bedo higni mang'eny. To siasa be kik tung winy ahinya. In iwuon in gi pachi maler maliw King'eyo ni inyalo tiyo gi pachi mondo i make choices mabeyo kata kochopo chieng' go kura mondo igo kura e yo maler. Ok ni nikech ng'ato nonyisi ni go kura e yo makama. Koro kapod wadhi mbele gi neno mamedo timore kaka gidhi mbele, wabed joma oherore to wabed joma ni kamoro achiel, to weche matimore e siasa matuch e alap mar siasa kanyo be kik ikawe kaka ineneno, ti gi pachi mondo ing'e ni piny ni ochomo kuma kama, ma kata chieng' migo kura kochopo tigo kura ka in well informed gi yiero jotelo mabeyo kaluwore gi analysis ma itimo at individual level. Ng'ata kik wuondi, ng'ata kik tug gi pachi, ng'ata kik take advantage mari ni inyiewi ya sabun ni idhigo ng'ato kumoro. Ti gi pachi.
Erokamano ahinya Audi Mike. Orade tich ariyo wik manyien kendo e chenro mar Kom Mbaka asebedo ka nyinga en Joseph Okuma.
Kodan Rebecca Wino.
Erokamano.